All right, so we've got spring like right around the corner. So what I have here today is going to be a top 10 list of spring fragrances that I would recommend, for most people to wear or to have in their collection for this time of the year. All right. So just to get the list started off, I'm going to start the list off with a fragrance from Paris Corner, and this is Paris Corner's Soothing Zephyr. So Soothing Zephyr, this is Paris Corner's sort of twist on Le Labo's Another 13. Now, this is not like super close to Another 13. Another 13 is definitely less sweet than what this particular fragrance is, but I have actually grown to enjoy this fragrance a lot. Yeah, I mean, it definitely, it doesn't come off as smooth as Another 13. Another 13 definitely has less alcohol, in the initial opening of this. Now, the alcohol blast in this is not like super strong, but it is definitely there. And like I said, overall, it's just a sweeter sort of take on the scent profile. But you do still get that really sort of fresh, kind of fruity, sort of, floral type of feel that you get from Another 13. And this does have pretty good longevity as well. Now, I do feel like this has gotten a lot smoother, as it sort of sat and maturated, as opposed to like what it initially smelled like when I first got it. But this is a very solid sort of twist on Another 13 that I would definitely recommend for, wearing, especially around this time of the year where, it hasn't gotten like super hot yet, but it's starting to, kind of warm up for most people anyway. All right. So again, definitely check out Soothing Zephyr from Paris Corner. All right, so the next one on the list, this one is going to be from Fragrance World, and this is their interpretation of Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino. This is Neroli Riviera. So Neroli Riviera, this to me is a little bit better than what the Porto Neroli is from Maison Alhambra. Both of them overall, I would say they're not like super close to the original Tom Ford. Tom Ford definitely comes off much more kind of green and I would say more realistic, smelling in terms of like how the florals actually smell in that fragrance. They smell more kind of, like I said, more realistic, more greener, and just, overall, it gives a slightly more floral feel than what Porto Neroli or even Neroli Riviera does. I feel like this fragrance, it's kind of like a perfect blend of some of the citruses that you get on the top notes of Neroli Portofino, along with the kind of floral notes that you get in that fragrance as well. So I feel like in terms of the quality, this one is kind of like the best sort of, cheap interpretation of that scent profile. But I think overall, like if you are a lover of, Neroli Portofino, you'll probably want to spend the extra money to get the real thing. Because so far, I mean, I haven't really smelled an interpretation that kind of gets that exactly the same as what it is in Neroli Portofino. But overall, man, this is a very nice, in my opinion, unisex style, floral springtime type of scent. I believe that this is probably like when I see this fragrance or when I think about what this fragrance smells like, it just reminds me overall of spring. So this is definitely one to reach for during this time of the year. Again, this one is Neroli Riviera. All right, so another scent profile that really, really reminds me of spring whenever I think about it is the Greenwich Village from Bond Number 9 scent profile. And what I have here today on this list is Game of Spades Win from Joe Milano. So this to me is a very, very nice interpretation of the Bond Number 9. The opening of the Bond Number 9 is slightly different. It's not, to me, I honestly don't necessarily care for the initial opening of the Bond Number 9. And so I feel like They've kind of smoothened that out a little bit in Game of Spades Win. I can't remember exactly what the note is in the bond number 9. I believe it might be cassis or something like that. I think it's some sort of floral note that's in that particular fragrance that just smells, I don't know, it just, at least to my nose, it smells really weird. And it kind of sticks around for like the first few minutes of the bond number 9 fragrance. Whereas in this one, you don't really get that. You kind of go straight into, you know, what the bond number 9 smells like after like the first couple of minutes with this one. And I mean, basically what this, you know, overall scent profile smells like is a more sort of floral, less sweet, you know, version of like something like Baccarat Rouge 540. Obviously it doesn't have the sort of saffron note in it as well. And to me, this one, it comes off as being a little bit more kind of unisex. I think that the Baccarat Rouge 540, especially like the EDP version, that one can kind of come off, you know, sort of feminine leaning. And also it's very, very strong. This is also strong, but I would say it's not as strong as like what the Baccarat Rouge 540 scent profile is. This definitely screams springtime for me. Whereas I feel like Baccarat Rouge 540, that one is also probably a really good springtime scent as well, but it's also strong enough to where, you know, you would also want to wear that one probably in the winter time as well. All right. So again, definitely check out Joe Milano's Game of Spades Win. I feel like this is a very, very high quality interpretation of that scent. Next one on the list, this one is from Barara, and this is Barara's King. So King is basically, it's like a twist on Herba Pura from Xerjoff. And this one to me is a little bit more kind of masculine leaning. It's definitely, to me overall, just kind of unisex. But this is a little bit more kind of, you know, it has more of a masculine lean to it. And it's from the extra sort of woodiness that you get from the fragrance. Also, this isn't as like heavy on the vanilla and the musk as what the Herba Pura is. And then the last thing is the way that the fruits come across in this scent. They're not as sort of like dried and like candied, I would say. Like, I mean, they still come off as candied, but they don't, to me anyway, they don't smell as dry in this fragrance. They smell a little bit more juicier, for sure. And yeah, I mean, again, this doesn't come off as sort of, you know, thick and musky and vanillic as what the Herba Pura does. Which I think that definitely, that makes that fragrance a lot more sort of feminine leaning. This is still definitely like a stronger sort of fruity floral type of scent. But it, again, it also, it does have, you know, an extra sort of added woodiness to it that Herba Pura doesn't have. And I think just overall, like I said, it is more of a sort of masculine leaning type of scent, you know, for a fruity floral. So I would absolutely recommend Barara's King. If you're looking, you know, for that kind of, you know, Herba Pura sort of scent profile, but you're looking for something a little bit more dialed down and a little bit more, you know, towards the masculine side, I would definitely recommend Barara's King. All right, next one on the list is from Ahmed Al-Maghribi, and this is Ahmed Al-Maghribi's Amiri. So Amiri is definitely, right now, it's harder to find scent from Ahmed Al-Maghribi. I'm lucky to have, you know, picked this up when I did, because it seems like a little bit after that, this has been, you know, very, very hard to find. But yeah, this is basically, it's Ahmed Al-Maghribi's interpretation of Amiri from Arabian Oud. Now, the Arabian Oud to me does smell a little bit higher quality, but overall, this is still a very, very solid scent. And this isn't strictly like a springtime scent, in my opinion. It is definitely more of sort of like I would say a all year round type of scent. If you're gonna wear it in the summer, I would probably more so kind of reach for it in like the cooler summer nights. But I do feel like overall this is still fresh enough to where you could kind of wear it, you know, in the summertime and just wear it overall all year round. This is basically, it's like a more thicker, darker, more kind of sophisticated version of something like, you know, Bulgari's Tiger. That's basically what the scent profile smells like. So it's not going to come off as sort of bright and airy and as zingy as what, you know, Tiger will. But it does have that same sort of feel with like the tart citrus up top, you know, the dry woodiness. This one definitely comes off a little bit drier, I would say, than what the original does, the Arabian Oud. The Arabian Oud kind of comes off more warm and creamy with the woods and that fragrance, at least on me anyway. So the way that the woodiness is done in this is done in more of sort of like a Ambroxan style, more kind of like Tiger, or, you know, any other sort of Tiger interpretation that you've smelled. Kind of comes off across more like that. But like I said, this is not going to be as bright and as citrusy as what, you know, most Tiger interpretations are. So if you're looking for something a little bit more sort of, you know, I would say sophisticated, darker, and definitely more longer lasting than, you know, your typical kind of Tiger scent profile, then I would definitely recommend taking a look at Ahmed Almagribi's Amiri. All right, so the next one on the list, this one is from Fragrance World, and this is Fragrance World's Varakh Silver. So this is their take on MFK's Gentle Fluidity Silver. And this is basically, it's like a floral woody scent with some really, really nice sweetness, and the top notes from juniper berries is basically what you get with this. This is a pretty decent interpretation. In my opinion, it is definitely more woodier than what the original MFK is. So if you're looking for something a little bit more kind of on the fresher, fruitier side, I would say that would be the MFK. The juniper berries you do definitely get in this fragrance, but they really don't last that long at all in the Varakh Silver. This kind of gives you maybe, I would say, 30 seconds to a minute of the juniper berries. And then it definitely, they start to kind of fade from there and start to go more kind of into like the woody aspects of the scent profile and the florals for sure. But this is also a very, very nice, I would say, springtime scent. That would be really, I would say, the best time to wear this particular scent profile is the spring. It's just a very clean, woody, you know, kind of slightly, in my opinion, slightly kind of sparkly, you know, feeling fragrance that does really, you know, have really nice projection. It does also last a pretty decent amount of time, and it does smell kind of rich and sophisticated. So again, definitely check out Fragrance World's Varakh Silver. All right, so next one on the list, this one is from Alexandria Fragrances, and this is La Meteore. So this is their take on Meteore from Louis Vuitton. At least about 90% close, I would say, for the most part, to Meteore. Definitely is the best interpretation that I've smelled of Meteore. Now I've only smelled this version, and then I've also smelled Luciano's version, the Cosmic Rock. This is hands down much higher quality than what the Cosmic Rock is. Despite the Cosmic Rock, to me, actually having a better opening, initial opening. After that initial opening, this definitely smells way more higher quality and much more closer to the original scent profile. This is basically like a very sort of like soapy, citrusy, and, you know, just overall just a very kind of floral style springtime type of scent. You know, you are definitely going to smell very clean when you wear this particular fragrance. A lot of people kind of consider this scent profile like a blue fragrance. I don't know, for whatever reason, I just don't, it doesn't come across to me that way. You know, when I think of blue fragrances, I think of fragrances like Sauvage, you know, Bleu de Chanel, you know, the one from Versace, Dylan Blue, stuff like that. Like, you know, that's, I consider those, you know, like blue fragrances. This to me just smells, it smells like a very kind of soapy, again, you know, clean floral style scent that I wish had better longevity. The original scent, Meteore, that one just for whatever reason doesn't last too long on me. And even this one from Alexandria, I feel like I don't really smell it for that long on me. Now, I don't know if I'm going nose blind to it or if just the scent profile in general is just one that doesn't really last that long on me. But I only, like I said, I only can smell it on me for like a few hours, which is, it really sucks because this is one of my favorite sort of, you know, soapy, clean style floral types of scents. You know, obviously you have stuff like Aqua Universalis. That one was okay, but I feel like this one is definitely done better, the Meteore scent profile. So it's, to me, it's perfect for this time of the year. So again, I would definitely recommend checking out Le Meteor from Alexandria Fragrances. All right, so the next one on the list is from Paris Corner, and this is a part of their Killer Oud line, and this is Nights of Arabia from Paris Corner. So this is their take on Byredo's Black Saffron. And I mean, at least for me anyway, I prefer this over Black Saffron. Black Saffron is definitely, it's less sweet than what this is. And at least in the initial opening, it doesn't come off as sort of fruity as what this does. Yeah, this definitely, it has like a really nice sweetness and fruitiness to it in the initial opening that I really, really love, that you don't get in the original Black Saffron from Byredo. And I mean, I think just overall, this one smells, it doesn't smell as mature as what Black Saffron does. Now, not to say that Black Saffron smells bad. I do still think that that is one of the better Byredo scents overall. But to me, it's just a little bit kind of on the mature and serious side. Whereas to me, this comes off as a little bit more kind of youthful and playful, not as serious, and a little bit more kind of mass appealing. You know, like I said, you get, you know, a really, really nice fruitiness from this in the opening. You know, a lot of black currant. You do kind of get a sort of leathery sort of saffron from the scent as well. And overall just comes across as slightly fresh, slightly kind of fruity, slightly spicy, very unisex for sure. And just overall, I think it's a very nice, unique, sophisticated scent to wear, you know, for this time of the year. Now, even this, I would say, is still going to be a little bit more on the mature side, but it's not as mature smelling as what something like Black Saffron does, in my opinion. Now, again, I would still definitely wear a Black Saffron for sure, but I just, in terms of what I like, I do like the extra sort of sweetness and fruitiness that you get from the Nights of Arabia. So this also has a really, really good performance on it as well. You're definitely going to get, you know, 8+ hours with this fragrance. And overall, man, it's a really, really nice interpretation, man. So definitely check out Paris Corner's Killer Oud Nights of Arabia. All right, so the next one on the list is going to be from French Avenue, and this is their take on Initial's Paragon, and this is Paradigm from French Avenue. All right, so Paradigm is, I would definitely say, the more accurate interpretation of Paragon, you know, as opposed to something like Vintage Radio from Lattafa. That fragrance is a little bit more kind of plum heavy. And just overall, it's a little bit more denser, in my opinion. Denser, has a little bit more of sort of like a spiciness to it. Whereas to me, this definitely smells a lot closer to the original scent profile, which, you know, it kind of gives off a slightly kind of more medicinal smelling, you know, feel to the fragrance. And I get more of sort of like a sparkliness from this fragrance, like a sparkliness or like a fizziness from this fragrance, as opposed to what I get from, you know, the Lattafa Vintage Radio. Like I said, that one comes off as sweeter and denser. This comes across as more kind of, you know, I would say more sort of sparklier, more aromatic for sure. Now, the performance on this is not going to be as good as what the Lattafa is, at least so far anyway. You know, definitely the projection and the longevity are better on the Lattafa, but I would definitely say that this is the more higher quality smell. So if you like that, you know, really nice juicy plum and, you know, smoky sort of Palo Santo that you get from you know, the initial Paragon, you know, that sandalwood you get, the pepper, then I would definitely recommend taking a look at French Avenue's Paradigm. All right, and then the last one on the list, this is actually a fragrance that I wore today, and this is Rassasi's Hawas Fire. So Hawas Fire, this is basically like that Imperial Valley by Gisa Parfums, or Gisa Parfums, I'm sorry. It's that scent profile. And I wouldn't necessarily say that this is like the best, you know, sort of interpretation of that scent profile that I've smelled. I do actually prefer the way that Ardagh Zafran's Lawan smells. But this, I feel like, is going to be a lot more kind of easier to find and more popular. So that's why I have it on the list, man. Lawan, when compared to Hawas Fire, Lawan is definitely a little bit more citrus heavy, and it's a little bit more kind of like citrus sweeter, I would say, than what Hawas Fire is. Hawas Fire is a little bit more kind of closer to something like what like Sultan the Founder smells like from French Avenue, which is their take on Imperial Valley. That fragrance does smell a little bit more different than this. I feel like it has a heavier emphasis on like leather, and it does come off as a little bit more muskier than what this does. So, you know, this is kind of like in between, I would say, between something like Sultan the Founder and Ardagh Zafran's Lawan. But overall, I mean, at least for me anyway, I do prefer the way that Lawan smells a little bit more, but I don't have a full bottle of that one. And I still think that this is a solid choice. The price on this is also very good as well. I believe this was like the cheapest Hawas fragrance that I've seen and that I've bought. I want to say I got this one from Fragrance Buy for like $42 or something like that for this 100 ml bottle. And it's a fragrance that is extremely strong, man. It's very strong. It's like citrusy and fresh. It's leathery. It's spicy. You know, it has a lot going on in it for sure. But I feel like overall it's a very, very nice smelling scent, especially when you smell this in the air. And it's one of those perfect sort of springtime scents. Now, I will say that this is a fragrance that you will need to kind of watch how many times you spray. So don't go crazy spraying this like 8 to 10 times. To me, I feel like 4 to 5 sprays is kind of like the sweet spot, you know, with this one. Even though it does smell kind of fresh, like once you kind of have, you know, worn this for maybe about 5 to 10 minutes, you'll start to see how strong this really can be. So I would, like I said, definitely only recommend spraying this about 4 to 5 times, and that should be enough for you for the rest of the day. So This is going to give you the same type of, you know, insane longevity as any other Hawas fragrance will give you. So easily over 10 to 12 hours, and really heavy projection for at least like the first 3+ hours, I would say for sure. So again, check out Hawas Fire from Risasi. All right, and that's my list, man. That is my top 10 recommended list of fragrances for springtime. These are all going to be like the sort of inspired in Middle Eastern style, you know, fragrances for sure. But yeah, man, this is definitely my list here that I actually plan to wear myself, and that I would definitely recommend to anyone that's looking for, you know, really solid sort of springtime rotation. All right. So I'll have links in the description to where you can purchase all of these fragrances. Also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you all in the next video.